Hi everyone, it's Penny Black and Jill Foster here with a new PB&J card class, and I am beyond excited today to finally reveal Penny Black's new line of liquid watercolor inks. I'm totally in love with these inks and using them with Penny Black stamps and dies, and I'm honored to have had my hand in a lot of the product development. So before we get into all of the details about the inks, I wanted to share with you some of our top priorities that we had in mind when developing these liquid watercolor inks and what makes them special and truly a joy to use. So first, we wanted to offer you a color palette that works. I love color in my designs, and I really wanted to offer sort of what I love to you. So personally, I've used so many different brands and sets of markers and paints, and I've always had to sort of like mix and match my way to a palette that I liked. Sometimes I might get a set of paints or markers and they were really vibrant and bright, but when I went to use them, they were almost neon, all of them. And so I didn't like my projects completed with this type of palette. There just wasn't a place for the eye to rest or balance to the palette overall. Or, for example, I'm always on a hunt for a red paint that doesn't go too pink when I use it. So I'm excited to present this selection of colors that really works all in one place. We're giving you bold, gorgeous colors that are rich but not too neon, light colors that are easy to apply for backgrounds, and what I think of as kind of a zinger for each color family that shines against the other colors in the palette, giving everything a nice balance. Everything you need to paint your favorite images, from florals even to the best neutrals that work beautifully with all of our critter stamps. And when you put all of these elements together, you really have a practical color palette that you can create many projects that you are really proud of. So next we wanted to give you watercolor ink that is easy to apply for all levels. So what fun are all these beautiful colors if you can't have success in painting with them? So first, these colors can be used with single color selection. So by that I mean is if you want a pink flower, you can simply pick out your favorite pink liquid watercolor ink and use it for your flower. You don't have to know color theory, just pick your favorite color and paint in your image. And these colors are designed to look beautiful, to be beautiful colors. But these paints are for all skill levels or whatever mood you're in when you're painting. So if you want to mix and blend these colors, you can create beautiful blends. Next, the ink application is simple. So I got my start in coloring stamped images using markers. So I approach watercoloring really more as a marker colorist than a painter. And for me, this is an easier approach. So with these inks, you can kind of think of them as just turning your paintbrush into a marker that won't run out, and a watercolor that doesn't get out of control. You can just dip your paintbrush into the liquid ink and apply it. Very little water is needed, but unlike markers, your paintbrush will never go dry and blending with it will be much easier. We also have a paintbrush set designed to work beautifully with these inks if you are looking for paintbrushes. Finally, we wanted to give you an abundance of ink in each bottle. So this means you can practice and create without feeling worried about running out of ink. You can use a reusable palette, and I'll show you how I set up mine at the end of this video. Or you can simply grab a bottle and put a drop of ink on an acrylic block, a small plastic palette, even a non-porous paper plate, and use it right out of the bottle. I've already painted tons with these inks and I've hardly even made a dent into how much ink I've used out of the bottles. It's an investment you won't feel like you are constantly repurchasing or refilling or having to ration or worry about as you are painting. And finally, we wanted to keep you inspired to grow on your coloring journey. So whether you're using these new inks or other inks, paints, markers, colored pencils, really whatever you love most, this video is just the beginning of many videos using these new inks and color system. We want to keep sharing with you ideas and inspiration and how-to videos using your inks, and just different ways to approach color and card design. So whether you plan to start or continue on your painting journey, or you just love making cards or looking for layout ideas in general, we have lots of new videos coming your way, including my next video series, and here's a little sneak peek of Fine Piece Through Painting, where we will be getting a closer look at each color family of these new inks and making lots of cards together. I've also put together for you a downloadable color guide PDF sharing card ideas and specific featured ink colors used on each card. So I've put a link to this free color guide PDF down in the YouTube description box below, so be sure to check it out. So before we get carried away, here are the more details about our inks. These are dye-based inks that are blendable, acid-free, and they're 25 ml or 0.85 fluid ounces in each bottle. There are 35 vibrant and practical colors, like we talked about before, that are designer created and approved, and you can do single color selection or you can blend them together. Here is a look at all 35 of those beautiful, beautiful colors and how practical they are. Now, I also wanted to show you a look at each sort of color family. This is how I think of color, and so I kind of grouped them for you, and we have for you in pinks, which you're seeing here, then reds, and again, you can mix and match all of these as well, or pick your favorite and just use that color. So I'm showing you here on some of the dyes the single color selections and then some blending options. Yellows and oranges. And again, single color selection. I just painted these on our die cuts or a blend, and you can pause this if you want to look at any of those in more detail. Here are our greens and our teals. I love teals and turquoises, and these are just perfect. Here is a nice variety of blues. And again, seeing them mixing in some different blending or using them single color selection. Some purples. And then we'll move in here now with the browns. So some of our more neutrals, but are so important to having a practical palette you can really use. And some grays. Again, not the most exciting colors, but really practical and make all of the other colors pop, as you can see here. So next up, how to use these inks. They're very easy. You want to give them a little shake and just drop the ink on a palette. You can thin it with water if you want and blend and paint with a brush. You can reconstitute with water drops or more ink and mix to the desired concentration. So let me show you here. You just open the bottle and put a drop onto your palette, onto your acrylic block, onto any non-porous surface. You could even just have a plate. So I'm just putting a drop of those onto my palette. You only need a very, very little drop. And again, more to come about my palette coming up. And you can see they come out liquid, ready to paint. So I'll just show you here. I'm going to grab one of our paintbrushes and pick up that color that's wet right out of the palette and paint it down. Again, you can thin it as you would like with water. So you can mix water with that either on your paper or right there in your palette. And here is a full palette with all of those dropped in there. Now those are big drops because I'm planning to keep using this palette. Now I wanted to mention they will dry. So look here, I'm bending the palette, doing that, they're not moving. They will dry in your palette. That is okay. That is actually such a nice benefit. So when you go to store these, I would not close this palette, but you don't have to worry about them spilling all over the place. So to reconstitute this, you have a couple of options. I'm just picking up water with my paintbrush and mixing it into the ink. You will see like these little bits come up as you're doing that. Those are actually going to be super concentrated color. I love having that in there. If you really want just like a zinger of color, get that wet. It's like, what do they say when you're cooking? I'm no cook, but those little bits left at the bottom of the pan, that's like the best. Same with this color. When that dries, it's going to be super concentrated. Just add your water and stir it up. Or this is my preferred way if I'm using this palette that I reuse over and over. I just drop a little bit more ink on there and mix it up with the ink so everything stays very concentrated. There isn't a lot of water added into the mixing. A little bit is fine, but I just like to do that. You can see I just dropped the ink in there and I'm mixing it up. So if I was going to paint, I would just put fresh drops in there of whatever colors I'm thinking I'm going to use and then paint with that, or you could mix it up with the water. But there's that abundance of paint. You don't have to worry if you're adding more drops if you want to keep it nice and concentrated. Like I said, you also can just add your drop to any non-porous surface, acrylic block. This is a paper plate, but it's the kind that is like coated. And you can pick it up and just paint like that. And if you're worried about remembering which color is which, I just took a pen and wrote on the paper plate next to the drop what it was. So let's go ahead and have some fun. I am working on my favorite Canson 140-pound cold press watercolor paper. My painting technique remains the same, and here is how you can create your palette. So I just picked up a cheap like $9.99 palette that had 36 wells, so I wanted it to have at least 35. And I think I picked this one up at Hobby Lobby, but you can find, just Google is searching, you can find a palette if you want to do all the colors, or if you already have some colors that you want to keep using and add these penny black colors to it. You could set up a palette like this and sort of mix and match and substitute, but have everything in one place. Then I just grabbed Sharpie markers, and this is, you don't have to do any of this, but just how I set mine up. And I marked out the wells for each color family. This makes it very easy to reference. So I went around and did the entire palette like that. Then I'm just grabbing a black Sharpie and I'm just writing the name of the color right there. So it's easy for me to remember what color goes where and which one is which as I'm painting. Again, you can also go super simple with a paper plate, the coated paper plate, and just write it right on there with a pen. When you're done, throw it away, and each time get out a new one in the colors you want to use. This way I'm setting up my palette though is a fun way too if you're planning on collecting each color, or you would like to collect each color of our inks. You can make a spot for each one, and then as you add to your collection, you'll already have a place for it. Your whole palette will be set up. And our color guide, that downloadable color guide, is a great place to get all of the names and to write on your palette. So you can see here, I've got everything labeled. I've got the colors on there, and I am ready to go. So I filled up my palette, put a few drops in each one, and then I highly recommend this if you are building a palette, whether you're doing this with these inks or markers or colored pencils, to create a little swatch. This is just a small, each one of those boxes is 1 inch square, so it's not a very big piece of paper. But when you go to paint, it's very helpful, especially as you're learning the colors, to be able to look and see exactly what does that color look like on paper. You can also fill this in as you go if you're collecting the sets or the different inks. Then you can fill it in as you go and see like, oh man, I really don't have a lot of greens, and that's going to be a problem. Or you could fill this in with colors you already have in the color families and see what you're missing or what you want to add. So you can see my pinks are all going to be together on my palette and then also on this reference guide. So I wanted you to get a real time or a real look at each of these colors. So I'm just going to paint, as I'm painting this in, I thought I'm just going to let the camera roll so that you can get a look at these colors as we go. I just love them so much. These pinks, again, you have that nice single color selection. None of them are redundant. The first three there I really love for any kind of pink flower, pink anything you want to paint. And then the polished and the ballet slippers here are pretty light. They make really great colors, like if you paint images of people or critters for the blush on their cheek or noses. Those are really handy for that. Now for the reds, the wine and cardinal. So wine is going to be this deep, rich color, add these nice dark shadows and kind of richness. Cardinal is going to be more of a zinger type of color that's really going to add some brightness. So when you put those two together or on the same composition, they look beautiful together. Now peach isn't really a red, but I love using it up there with the red. So I added a little spot there so I would remember how much I like that color with the reds. Now in our yellows and oranges, we have this zinnia, very nice sort of zinger of an orange, but there you can see the tiger color is more of a calmer version. And so those two together really work beautifully. Citrus is a nice moving more into the yellow. Sunshine, more of a zinger in the yellow, that sort of lemony yellow. And then butter, oh, this is a great color. It's soft, it's light, it's easy on the eyes, it's great for backgrounds, it's great for just a touch, even for some critter fur colors. Now for our greens, sorry, I'm a little off camera. We have that Energize. That's definitely your zinger color. That was the first one I painted on for your greens. Grass is that just very nice, typical green, but not neon. Pine, you're getting into that dark color that's going to tone and shade all of these nicely. And then that treetop, just that really nice green, classic green color, great for Christmas cards. Now we're going into the teals. I love a good turquoise. This one's nice and light to put on your just as it is on its own. Teal, that's a bit of a zinger. That's going to add a nice punch. These teals here, saltwater and waves, are going to be a little bit more to the blue side of your teals, but still definitely kind of green with them. Now moving down into our blues, we have nautical and navy. So you can see there, nautical, more of a calm color, navy, a bit more of a zinger and dark. Cloudless, just such a beautiful blue, and sky getting lighter as it goes. Indigo I've put in a couple of places. I'm putting it here with blue. It's a really nice dark shading color, but it's very vibrant as well. It also works great as a purple and with the purple. So I'm going to put it in both places. Now for purples, we have grape, and that's a nice calm color. Same with heather, just very light, great for backgrounds, even skies. And then I like to pull in these two colors with these. These are going to be kind of your zingers that are going to bring them to life. The indigo from up above in the blue, and the magenta that we had up in the pinks. Pulling this down into the purples is really going to round out sort of that purple color family and bring life to those other colors without everything being super vibrant or like overly neon. Now grays are really important. This light gray is so nice and light, great for adding shadows. Think of when you're doing snow or snowmen and you want just a light shadow on your whites. Medium gray, just moving a little bit darker. We do have a black for you, and you can water that down so it's a little bit more of a charcoal. And this color is one of my favorites, this earthen. It's a very nice warm gray, sort of bordering on a brown, but very, very useful, especially for shadows or grounding images. Now our browns, we have chocolate, a nice dark brown, but very warm. Milk chocolate, same again, very warm, but just getting a bit lighter. Vanilla, this is a go-to color for backgrounds, and it will also sort of tone down those more reddish browns that we have there. Peach, beautiful up in the reds, beautiful if you like to paint critters or people, very nice for that. And then I did pull down from the greens that pine color because it is a very earthy, almost brown pine that you can mix in with some of those browns for your sort of earth tone colors. So here is a look. Here's my palette and then the colors that go along with it. It really makes that painting handy, and just starting up this process and thinking of color in just a very easy way to sort of take in all of these beautiful colors and actually make them practical and usable. Now again, if watercolor isn't your thing, you could definitely take this approach. You could organize your markers in this way or your colored pencils in this way. So I hope that even if, say, watercoloring is just not your thing, that you can continue to still find some inspiration in this entire setup, which is another reason I wanted to include this in our introductory video today. So I hope you're as excited as me. I'd love to know, what colors are you just loving the most? Leave me a comment down below. Also, be sure that you're subscribed to our channel, because lot of videos are coming up here featuring these new inks and lots of card ideas. So subscribe, click that bell notification, and follow us on Facebook and Instagram so you can continue to get lots of card making inspiration. Thanks so much for watching.